Welcome to our latest Soccer Down Here 1v1. My name's Jason Longshore, and we have a different kind of 1v1 today. Our first ever Soccer Down Here intern, Nyle Farooqui, is with me. We're going to talk about kind of what's gone on the last couple weeks in the game. I want to get Nile's opinions. He's a big Liverpool fan, so we've got a little bit to talk about with that. He's done a lot of research on Marcelo Bielsa, so we'll get into that. We'll talk about what Nile's looking forward to with Atlanta United this season. Nyle, first, thanks for interning with us. It's been a weird internship because most interns come in and come into an office, and a lot of people make their interns make copies and get coffee, and we don't have any of that to do. So it's been a totally virtually internship. I hope it's been effective for you.
Yeah, it has. It's thanks for the opportunity. I know it's you have a very busy schedule 24/7, so so thanks for the opportunity. And yeah, it's been beneficial. I mean, just have to make the most out of this situation right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're all doing. First off, you're in the Atlanta United fan base and you're in the Atlanta United kind of social media world. Let everybody know where they can follow you, whether they like your opinions or they disagree and want to go back and forth with you, because you're on Twitter and Instagram. Let them know where they can catch you.
Okay, yeah, so you can follow me at the ultimate Atlanta United fan. So for everything Atlanta United news, content, just in general, I'm very open to suggestions on how I can improve the account, etc. I'm still learning. So I'm open to anything, including just a little debate if you want. So yeah.
And that's on Instagram, correct?
Yes, that's on Instagram, sorry.
Okay, cool. No worries. We'll talk about Atlanta United, and we'll talk about all the craziness that's been happening over the last week with Atlanta United rumors. But I want to start with Liverpool, because it's been a big talking point on SDH and soccer over there for a while now. Jurgen Klopp feels like he's really getting frustrated and defensive, and now he's starting a war of words with Pep Guardiola. Where do things stand with Liverpool right now, in your opinion?
Jurgen Klopp's obviously frustrated. I get it. He's had injuries, things haven't gone his way. But Liverpool still has to press forward, in terms of just keep getting as many points as they can, just the title race. I think they're a good team. They're a good team. They're better than some of these teams that a lot of people think are in the top four, but they just have to get just their act together in terms of just focusing on getting as many points as they can. It's not an ideal situation, but they have to keep their head up. And in terms of Klopp, I don't know, it's honestly he just sort of I think he for once I'm going to disagree with him in terms of his comments today about Manchester City getting a 2-week break. It's it's they're a good team, and they've had more players step up than Liverpool, to be honest, in terms of Gundogan, who has been slated a lot in the past couple of seasons, and he just looks very just in form at the moment, having stats that has probably resulted in one of his best seasons.
The thing about the comments today that kind of struck me, and I want to get your take on Liverpool's situation with this. Manchester City's had injuries too, and they've had a lot of challenges, and you said players have stepped up. I think you're dead on. Liverpool, people don't want to use injuries as an excuse. They're real, and they affect the way a team plays. How damaging have the injuries at center back been for Liverpool as a whole?
I think they've been pretty damaging in terms of, okay, you have Van Dijk out, all right, that's your star center back. You're missing a presence on the field, a leadership, a player that makes other players around the field better. And then you miss Joe Gomez, who is another one of your top center backs who is still young. He makes mistakes, but he has a ton of potential as an England starter and just in general. And then Joel Matip, who just has had injury problems all over the place. I really think that, honestly, Liverpool should need to find a different solution to him, as he just, his injury issues, he just can't get a full 90. And so then that, for me, was the catalyst. So it's just all sort of a domino falling effect in terms of just you're having one man to go up, then down, and then another man go up, the next man go down. It's frustrating, but it's at the same time, you're Liverpool, you're the defending champions, you have to live up to the standards that people will set upon you. And it is frustrating, I get it, but it's like the fans and just people in general are going to have high expectations. So
it's funny because it's the reverse a little bit of what we saw with Atlanta United in 2020, where Joseph Martinez is out, and yeah, they had attacking problems, but it did affect the defense not having Joseph. It affected the whole team. Liverpool has been all right defensively without those guys, but it's affected everything, and now it's affecting the attack, and Liverpool can't find goals.
Van Dijk, in terms of going forward, is pretty good in terms of the way he has balls like put forward to the forwards, Mane, Salah, Firmino, just to unleash the attack a bit. Liverpool are missing that. So hopefully, I think with Ozan Kabak in terms of what his profile is like, Liverpool's new signing in the January transfer window, he, from what I've seen, albeit just being highlights, he just seems to have that quality in terms of he can put a ball forward. He's good on set pieces. He's just very he has that sort of big presence in the defense, which Liverpool's missing.
So I don't want to steal anything because you did a State of Liverpool podcast as part of your internship, and that's going to come out on Saturday on the network. So for those of you getting ready for Liverpool and Manchester City on Sunday, you'll be able to hear Nile's full take on Liverpool and the good, the bad, the ugly on Liverpool in 2020 and 2021. Let's move over to another aspect that ended up becoming, I think, a really good project for you while you've been with us. And it was from a conversation we had early on about Gabriel Heinz and Marcelo Bielsa. And Marcelo Bielsa, being an influence on Heinz, but being an influence on the game as a whole. You wrote a great piece at soccerdownhere.net about Bielsa's history, and you zeroed in on his time at Atlas in Mexico, which most people overlook. What did you learn about that time and how it impacts Bielsa today and potentially influences others?
Bielsa, in terms of just working with young players and his talent recruitment, just the way he was able to identify talent, work with them patiently, and it just made the talent it just turned out for them to be something where these talented players would end up, one of them won the Bundesliga with Stuttgart. Can't remember the name, but one of them would go on to do that.
Yeah, Pavel Pardo.
Yeah, him in terms of he would be able to develop these players and make them better. And just even through his the hard times he probably would have with these young players, he would be able to put an arm around them, have the patience and say, okay, this is what I need you to do. You're doing good, but this is what I need you to do to make this a better just way for you to play.
And you picked it out. You mentioned a player that I've been a big fan of during Bielsa's time at Leeds, and Luke Ayling, who was a guy that nobody rated. He wasn't a Premier League player in anybody's mind until Bielsa showed up at Leeds, and now he's one of their most important players.
Yeah, he's been excellent for Leeds. Leeds have been, honestly, they've been a very talented team, and a lot of that's been due to just Bielsa's credit in terms of you're having players like Jack Harrison, you're having players like Calvin Phillips, who are young players. Mind you, Jack Harrison came from MLS, New York City. He went to the Premier League now, and now he's playing in the Premier League, and he's doing well. So it's this development, this idea of developing players and being patient with them, and sort of it being important to have a relationship with them, just sort of understanding face to face, hey, this is what I need you to do. And it's sort of manner as if it's a family member you're talking to. It's somebody who, it's like your son or whatever. You're putting an arm around them and sort of giving them the belief that, hey, I have belief in you. You can do this, and this is what I want you to do.
It seems like Bielsa likes being in situations like Newell's, where he started as a player and then became the manager, and they're not Boca or River in Argentina, but he won a title and went to a final of the Copa Libertadores. He went to Atlas first in Mexico, which is not even the biggest team in the city, with Chivas across town. He did spend a little bit of time at Club America, but I don't think he liked it. And I think that kind of informed where he was going to go next, because it's always the underdog. Athletic Bilbao. He didn't go to PSG. He went to Marseille. He didn't go to one of the biggest clubs in Italy. He went to Lazio for a minute. He didn't go to a Premiership club. He went to Leeds when they were in the Championship. He likes to build things, and I think that's a huge part of his personality.
Yeah, it is. He's like one of those. He's one of those managers that likes to start off from scratch in terms of a project. He likes to establish his ground in terms of the style the team will play, the players he will bring in, just who he sees as important to him. So it's interesting because I feel like nowadays in terms of you're having managers who are maybe not necessarily doing that much in terms of going for the underdog role in terms of just like talented managers, and it really helps them. Like this helped Bielsa in a huge way in terms of understanding what it takes for him right now in terms of in the Premier League, just understanding how it is to have a successful project.
It's huge, and it makes you, I think, a better manager. And you'll have a piece over at soccerdownhere.net, with kind of your opinion on how he's influenced the game going forward. One person he's influenced very strongly, although not wholly, is Gabriel Heinz, who's coming to Atlanta. And I think you mentioned the word project with Bielsa. Heinz's used that word about coming to Atlanta. What are the things, as just a fan of the game, what are you looking forward to with Gabriel Heinz's time with Atlanta United?
I'm looking forward to just about everything in a sense, but more say like his. I think the way he will work with players is something that to definitely keep an eye on, as he's worked with really good players. Thiago Almada, for instance, who is a top Argentine prospect, and for in some ways he could go to Europe soon, hopefully.
I think so.
Yeah, he's a talented player, and it's he basically I'd keep an eye on him potentially unlocking players such as Barco in terms of having a manager that will try to get through the struggles that he is dealing with, and then just young players in general. I'm very excited to see how the young players are with him in terms of Bello, just Barco. Those two players for me are ones to definitely keep an eye on this season and during the time he's here with Atlanta in terms of how they could make an impact. As Bello has been moved to Europe, I think Bello has been linked to Europe, but there have been strong ways that he can still develop more, and I think Gabriel Heinz could do that in a sense in terms of helping him with that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that'll be different for Gabriel Heinz is being at a club that has trophy expectations. I think even more than ambitions. Velez, when he took over, was flirting with getting relegated. He had work to do there. He went to Argentinos, and they were in the second division, and winning the second division is kind of a whole different conversation than what you're talking about with Atlanta United. The balancing act is going to be fun to watch because I'm with you. I think Heinze will have a huge impact on the young players and developing them into players that will get sold. And he'll make Bello a better player. I think he'll make Miles Robinson a better player. He'll make these young talents that are being rumored to come into the club better players and better potential assets. But how do you manage that alongside winning games and ultimately winning trophies? Because that's the expectation in Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the job. It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah. I think honestly, it's a project that's going to take time per se, and I think that's something that people need to expect. Because I remember a lot in his press conference, people were asking, okay, do you have a deadline in terms of, or a timeline, in terms of winning trophies and stuff like that? And it was just a question where he would laugh at it and be like, no, it's just football. Anything can happen, right? It's going to take time, right? It's a new project. He's integrating into a new league, a new environment. He's going to have certain player restrictions in terms of what he can work with. So I think it's something where I think Atlanta, in terms of the pieces Heinze is bringing in with players such as Ibarra, such as Santiago, for example, it's going to sort of make Atlanta a team that is going to be young in a sense, but I think it's going to be a team that has enough quality to be capable of winning titles, competing for a league.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the timeline for Heinze, and I thought this day one, and I still think it with the moves we've seen and the moves we've heard rumored. I think it's a lot like Tata Martino's 2 years. You know, you start out, you get to know the team, you build, you get to know the league, you make adjustments. You want to be in the mix going into the postseason in year one. You want to be in the mix for the Open Cup. You're in Champions League as a bonus. You want to, of course, be in the mix for that. But you want to get better as the year goes on. And year two is where I think you're expecting to be the best team in the league. But it does take a minute to get there. It took Tata a minute. I think it'll take Gabriel just a minute to get there.
Yeah, well, especially with the style he would want to implement to this team. It's going to take a lot of training, like strenuous training. It's going to take a lot of work and sort of drilling these players to understand how he wants them to play. And it's going to be like Tata in a sense where he's going to be very demanding of the players, and it's going to be something where the players will have to respond in a way that is going to sort of have a way for Heinz to sort of just say, okay, they're understanding what I expect from them. But yeah, it's gonna take time, which I think is the most important thing for people to realize. But I think with the time and patience there will be, I think Heinz can lead this team to great things in time.
Yeah, I do too. I'm excited to see it play out. I'm hopeful we get these games underway at the beginning of April and we see where everything can go. It's gonna be fun to watch. If you are an Atlanta United fan and you listen to Soccer Down Here, make sure you're following Nile's Instagram with a lot of Atlanta United coverage. Let them know where it is one more time.
The Ultimate Atlanta United Fan, all lowercase, on Instagram.
Excellent. And Nyle, you were a big help to us for a couple of weeks. We really appreciate it. I hope it's been beneficial for you. And like I told you, you've got a golden key to write whenever you want for soccerdownhere.net. People have been really happy to read your first piece on Bielsa. I'm sure they're going to like the second. And you've been a big asset to SDH. So thank you for doing your internship with us. And I think we'll be working together again in the future.
Yeah, I really want to. I potentially would love to work with you in the future, and I hope that's going to be an opportunity, hopefully in the summer, whenever I'm free. But yeah, I loved working with you. It's been a real pleasure, and I thank you for the opportunity to work with me because I understand how heavy your work schedule is. So thank you.
No, it's been great. It always helps me get better at what I do when I get to try to explain what I do because it's sometimes hard to explain. But it makes me think about it too. But you got to get back to school next week, so you'll be updating on the Instagram. You'll have some stuff for us at soccerdownhere.net as well. Thank you, Nyle, and thanks to everybody who's out there listening. Thanks for being part of the SDH universe. We really appreciate it. The Daily Show, for those of you who are catching this for the first time, the Daily Show starts at 9 o'clock Monday through Friday. We have a Power Hour 1-hour edition on Saturdays that starts at 10 o'clock. Soccer Over There is Monday nights at 7 o'clock, and you can follow us at Soccer Down Here on all your social media channels. And you can also watch on Twitch, twitch.tv/SoccerDownHere. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back soon.